is the surveying dying industry or profession?
Yeah, I mean, you basically hit a nerve for a lot of surveyors because in many ways it's dying in a figurative sense in terms of like we can't you know keep up with technology, and there's just like a huge issue in terms of staffing and training. But in a literal sense, where like the average age of a professional surveyor, at least in the United States, is 57 years old. I think at 57 most people are thinking about retiring, not getting into the industry. So it is a very touchy subject for a lot of folks, but I'm happy to shed some light and to defend my industry with honor. But I also recognize there's a lot of work that needs to get done. So the thumbnail is
This
very
is
fitting.
yeah, this is actually good insight that it's not only about the technology, which we will be touching today, but it's also about really the age of the whole industry, right?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's there's so much that's going on, and a lot of people really struggle to figure out where they fit in the industry, but then also to think that is this an industry that is going to be affected by emerging technology? Am I going to
Mm.
have a job in this industry several years down the road? Is the same fate of computer science going to be surveying? These are all valid questions to have. So yeah, I totally agree.
Okay, so we are in some stage now. Let's call it that way. But what about, let's say, in 15, 20 years? Like, do you think there still will be a profession as a surveyor?
I think the profession will evolve, just like it evolved 50 years ago. From 50 years ago, I mean, you had several people on a crew. There was no batteries in your equipment. Everything was very manual. But if you would have told someone 50 years ago, "Hey, we're going to have this thing called GPS, and we're going to have this thing called robotic total stations," they would look at you like you're crazy. They'd be like, "Okay, so with all that equipment, are we going to have jobs?" And then tell them about drones and laser scanning. They're going to be like, "What the heck are you talking about? That's not even a real thing." So for them, it would have been, "Oh my God, the profession is going to go extinct and we're going to be replaced by robots."
Mhm.
Today, we know that that's not true. We still are very much in need of surveyors. So looking 50 years into the future, is that same concept and that same idea still the same? I think it's going to be, hey, there's going to be new technology. There's going to be better ways to do surveying, more efficient ways to do surveying. But the role of the surveyor is still going to be very, very relevant. I don't see the profession going anywhere in terms of reliability or a necessity for it. It's still going to be very prevalent. But we have to adapt. If we don't adapt, then you get left behind. When you get left behind, then you do lose your job and you lose your profession. And so
Mhm.
that's the scary part. Is I see a lot of surveyors that are really resistant to change when it's ultimately what we are here to do, is to evolve and to grow as engineers. That's what we are at the end of the day.
I was listening to a podcast episode with Joe Rogan. He had some AI guy there, and the question was about the radiologists, because this is the profession that many experts were saying like this is the first being gone, because AI just simply can better read the images. It can better identify, more quickly identify things, and so on. But there is always this human factor. Like there needs to be that last instance that will say, okay, this is this disease or it is not, right?
Mhm.
So the actual stage right now in hospitals all over the world is that they actually need more radiologists, not less, because they have more patients. They are able to do more examinations and everything. So they actually need more radiologists, not less.
Yeah.
I'm however, sorry, just to finish the
Mhm.
idea, because I'm not whether this is the or will be the case also for this profession. I would put it in a context in opposite, for example, to taxi drivers, right? If you ask 10, 15 years ago, like whether taxi drivers will have jobs, of course, there will always be need for drivers. Not anymore. This is changing heavily. So where do you think it's heading more? Which
Yeah, I
direction?
see I see AI and especially geospatial technology not necessarily replacing, but just complementing a lot of surveyors. We saw this with robotic total stations. We used to have a three-man crew. One person was the rod man, one was the instrument man, and the other was the crew chief. And so that evolved into a one-man crew that could run the whole thing because the robot could move around and collect data on its own. And so we're going to continue to see that trend, right? We're going to continue to see AI helping us with defining legal descriptions, being able to dissect different forms of evidence, and making a decision on boundary retracement. We're going to see AI being able to extract features from geospatial data, so being able to identify, where your curbs, your gutters, your lane markers, your guardrails, all the different assets, when we do mobile mapping. The human element is still going to be there because we need to check it and make sure that it's correct and sign off on it. And we're not going to sign off on something that we haven't looked at or understood. Now, this becomes more of an ethical issue. Like, are surveyors actually doing QA/QC, or are they just depending on AI like the general population is, right? So that is where a good surveyor is going to step in, is like, I can identify and do this all on my own, but I'm going to leverage AI to help me be more efficient, be more proactive, get more jobs done. And so who does that hurt more than anybody else? It hurts that population of folks that are basically laboring, they are outside doing the work. There may be technical labor, but that's maybe who's going to get impacted the most, because they need to level up their skills. They need to have a better understanding of what it is that they're doing. They can't just simply push buttons and get data and assume it's correct. And well, the professional is going to look at it and he's going to tell me if it's right or wrong. Well, an AI model is going to be able to do that. And so if an AI can do that and the professional is going to check the AI's work, what is your purpose as a field technician or as a labor technician? You need to level up your skills. You need to grow and get into that. Maybe you don't have to become a professional surveyor, but at least be able to do quality control and quality assurance work so that you can preserve your worth. You can continue to be in this industry and not be beat out by AI.
Is it something similar to what we see with programmers, for example, with coders?
Very similar, yeah.
That like the junior positions are just vanishing from the industry, right? So you are either the senior already, or you have really problem on the market right now. So is this something similar?
It is similar, yes, because a lot of those junior technicians, junior software engineers, now any prompt to an AI model can do what they do, right? And so what do they tell them, right? They tell them, listen, you got to be able to build out the architecture for whatever software or solution that you're building. The same goes for the surveyors that are out in the field, right? Sure, you want to collect data. Nowadays, we can fly a drone, collect the data, and get all the information we need. So what do you need to do to level up, right? Maybe it's as small as just getting your Part 107, which is the FAA regulated drones pilot license. Maybe it's as small as that, just so that you're able to fly drones, right? Maybe it's, hey, you know what? We can set up a scanner and we can collect the data. Okay, fine. So you're more than just a crew chief now. You're actually running these highly sophisticated tools that can collect the data, and you understand when you have bad data, right? At the end of the day, I'm going to hire someone to work out in the field that can catch mistakes before I do, right? I don't want to have to catch every little mistake and be like, go back, do this again. It's a waste of time and a waste of resources. So if I have a field member that is very sharp, properly understands what good data looks like, they may not be an office personnel, they may not be a professional, but they know what good and bad data looks like. That could be enough for me to say this is a good hire. This is someone I can depend on and trust. And then when they're out in the field and they're collecting their data, they catch something wrong, they can just give me a call, be like, hey, Rami, we found this, this, and this. We have an issue with, let's say, for example, I don't know, the overlap wasn't correct on the imagery, right? We know that this is going to give us bad results when we go to process the data. We're going to go ahead and fly this again, and we're going to be about an hour late. So I would rather they spend an extra hour in the field than have to go remobilize them again because I caught the mistake in the office. That's the big difference, I think.
It might be actually the case that similar to other industries, that even here there will be actually more jobs because of the AI and automation and the robotics and everything else. Because right now what I can see on construction sites is that their managers are always thinking like, do we need surveyors right now, or can we do this on our own? Because it's always about the money, right? But if the job is going to cost less and could be done quicker, then I think the decision on the side of managers of the construction site will be even more easy, and they can do just more works which require or 50% require the surveying
Not
company.
every project needs to have a professional surveyor or even a surveyor from a survey firm on staff. I mean, there are lots of instances where, with construction layout, for example, you can have your general contractor do the layout, right? Especially if it's a small house, where you don't necessarily need a professional to be there to do it. From a cost perspective, they're saving money. From a time perspective, they're not waiting on the surveyor to get to the field so that their excavation can start. And then at the end of the day, the surveyors are busy with their own projects. I turn down most construction layout projects just because it's just not worth my time, right? It's not worth
Mhm.
mobilizing a team in a moment's notice to make $200 an hour. There's better projects out there that we could be working on that really do need a professional on staff.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I would rather teach construction folks how to do those types of surveys, not to make them surveyors, but so that they can take care of their survey needs when a surveyor is not available.
We are
So in
going to
many ways,
touch it.
yes, it does create jobs, but it creates more opportunity.
Yeah. Maybe one last question to like the introduction to our episode. Imagine your gorgeous daughter is 18 right now and thinking about the college. Would you suggest her to go to study surveying?
Yeah, 100%.
Still?
I would tell my daughter, and I would tell anyone that's in a position that wants to get into this type of industry that it's worth it. There's a lot of opportunity. Oh my God. I used to think that surveying was just construction and boundaries. And when I went to school and I discovered the geospatial industry, I was just blown away. And I've worked in many other industries. I've worked in the automotive industry doing self-driving vehicles. I mean, there's so many avenues that you can take with surveying, right? And it's not promoted. It's not very known by many. But once you get into it and once you go to school and once you start working, you start to find all these great opportunities. So yeah, absolutely. It's such a rewarding profession. It's a very lucrative and exciting and creative profession. And it's not easy to say that about an engineering role. So yeah, definitely recommend anybody to get into it.
I would love to spend a few minutes with your background and with your journey and history. Do you still like or love Happy Meals?
Not so much anymore. But as a 5-year-old, yeah, totally. I know what you're referencing.
Feel free to put it in a context.
Sure. Okay. So my dad worked for a small surveying company in the 90s. And so it was a family business. And so he was their head crew chief. And so being the foreign father that he is, he was like, I'm going to take you out into the field and you're going to hold this tape for me. I think they may have missed a measurement or something like that when they were out in the crew. So he had to go after hours. And so he took me with him and basically he was like, hold the tape right on one end and I'm going to pull it. Don't let the tape move. And so I think he was measuring a building or measuring a sidewalk. I can't remember now. So anyways, this was my first day on the job as a 5-year-old.
So sorry for this job. We call this like do me a zero. I don't know if this is an idiom in English language or not, but in Slav language, if I translate it, we call it do me a zero because you are holding the
holding
0
the
point. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean it was I mean, shoot, I was a little kid, but like the concept of he is measuring something, right? He's trying to figure out how long something is. That was my first like immediate thought into the surveying industry, which is exactly what surveying is we're measuring stuff, right? So and then for compensation, he took me to McDonald's and he bought me a Happy Meal, which was, great because I actually earned it and I realized what the value of earning something is. So maybe there were some child labor laws that may have been broken. But
yeah, a bit of an illegal journey, but hey, you got to start somehow.
Exactly. So yeah. I mean that was my first taste of surveying, and he eventually went on to start his own business when I was a teenager, and of course he employed me to go work with him because
I have met your dad. He's a wonderful guy. I have met your dad.
Oh yeah, he liked you too.
Yeah, thank you. How was it growing by the surveyor dad and you basically starting from 5 years? So you must have been learning like the whole life, right?
So he loves being a surveyor. I mean, he came to America with no education, no real background in this industry. He just was trying to make ends meet, found surveying through construction, and he was really sharp, really good at math, really good at problem solving, and he's a field guy. Like he loves being outside. He just adores being outside. So it was a great fit for him. And we'd always see him come home with the truck and the equipment, and he smells like outside. And so that was like my earliest memories of dad coming home from work. And my mom always taught us, like, when dad comes home, he's had a long day, you run to the door and you give him a hug and you say, we're so happy to have you home. So this was like the values, the Middle Eastern values that were instilled in us, right? Like you drop everything when dad comes home and you greet him at the door. So these small things really played into, the kind of, father he was. And then in 2004, he was starting to realize, like, I really want to do more with my career. I don't want to just be a crew chief. I want to become a professional. And so he was a part of a distant learning program at Michigan Tech University. So this is like before online education became like a real thing. They would send the VHS tapes to the local community college where we lived, and they would watch the lectures that were happening in Michigan Tech, which is like a 12-hour, it's 12 hours away from where we lived. So he started taking these classes, and he started, actually getting his degree. And in 2007, he graduated with his bachelor's degree. And so I was there. I attended his graduation. It was a big, big moment for our family. Like, dad went to college and got his degree. He was 48 years old. Like, can you imagine, like, how it's just incredible to hear, like, a man in his 40s went back to school for his family and to improve his career. And so, he, eventually got laid off because of the whole recession, started his own business, and he employed me. He was like, hey, I want you to come work with me. I want you to be involved with this business, and I want you to see what I do. He wasn't trying to make me a surveyor. He was just like, I want you to see what I do as a surveyor. And him building that business, and just like the struggle of finding work in those early years. I mean, it was so real. I lived it all with him. And eventually things started to pick up. I loved being outside as well. I loved the technology. I didn't even realize the geospatial technology that existed. I was just talking about like robotics and GPS. And so, yeah, I got into it. And now every time I go over their house, we have survey conversations, and my wife and my mom hate us because we can't talk about anything other than work. But it's great. I love it. It's really nice to be able to connect with my father and talk to him about my profession and the things that I do on a day-to-day basis. And he knows exactly what I'm talking about, and he can give me advice.
Seeing you doing all those videos and testing all those different technologies, does he has some opinion about the future of the profession?
So yeah, he definitely holds a strong opinion that surveying is going to grow with the younger generation. He, and I have to choose my words carefully here, he has given up on his generation to impact and create change. Anytime we talk about, oh yeah, the surveyors that are like in his generation, he goes, yeah, forget about those guys. Just focus on the younger guys, get the younger guys' attention. They're the future. These old guys are all going to retire or die. So don't worry about convincing them anything. So yeah, he is a very traditional surveyor. He tries to keep up with the technology, but he is also like nearing the end of his career, so he's not as proactive as I am, for example, or you are, because we're like in the prime of our career. So yeah, nice and strong right now. But yeah, no, he is definitely a progressive surveyor. He believes in the new technology. He thinks that it's the future, and he knows when to use it and how to use it. That's another big thing. He knows the importance of accuracy and to use the right tool at the right time.
It's actually really great that he's aware of the situation among his generation. I remember this very vividly, and this is actually my favorite story back then when I first bought the RTC 360 from Leica.
Yeah.
And I was at this conference that was done by a local distributor of Leica products. And there was a whole presentation during the whole day about the GNSS rovers, about the poles, about basically standard surveying equipment. And then just before the launch, they started talking about 3D scanners, about laser scanners. Everybody started to talk about what they're going to eat during the lunch and what they are going to do during the break. And I was like, oh shit, guys, you have no idea what's happening to you. Like you have zero idea what's gonna impact you. So that was my aha moment when I understood that this generation is fucked.
It is, if you're gonna just lean and depend on those who don't care. I think if you're not gonna take a stance and not take on some level of leadership, you're gonna basically fall in the same puddle that everyone else is in, and you're gonna think, oh, that's all there is, and there's not much else we can do. And you have to be proactive. You have to get interested and engaged with this new technology and figure out how you can leverage it and use it for your work.
I think it's very similar to like these older generation of doctors, for example, which they were like the patients were coming to them during their whole career, right? Like 30, 40, 50 years, patients were just coming. So there was like zero need for getting better, for making their service better, for education, for learning more. But everything is changing and they just are not able to keep up with it, right? So the younger generation is just going to probably reshape the whole industry or profession.
And that's totally fine. I mean, it's happened before. It'll continue to happen where new generation, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, the new generation is going to redefine how things are done and how they progress. The issue is the handoff between that older generation and the new generation. We're finding, at least in the survey industry, the old generation really struggles to adapt change and to hand off responsibilities and to hand off just, basic man, my phone needs to stop ringing. The basics of, standards, right? And I mean, I've talked to plenty of older surveyors and they're all talk, right? Oh yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to allow you guys to get involved, we're going to allow you to make some changes. And the minute you start to stand up and say, okay, I want to do this, I want to change that, that's kind of when they start to say, oh, okay, hold on, sit back down, you just got licensed, right? You're not ready for that yet. I have 40 years of experience, and so once I'm done, then you can think about doing something. My other thing that I really have a big gripe with is like when older surveyors complain about, we need more mentorship. We need to find a way to encourage younger surveyors to get into the industry. And so, shameless plug here, I'm like, hey guys, I have an entire community of people getting into the industry, of people trying to learn surveying. It's called the Survey School. You should look into it and maybe we can do something together. And then it's like, oh, you actually have a solution? No, we'd rather just keep complaining about the problem, right? We don't want to actually solve it because then we don't have anything to complain about. And again, it goes back to the whole, well, you've only been licensed for a couple of years. Like we've been licensed for half a century. What do you know? And I get to a point where I'm like, you know what? I don't need to change their minds. I take my dad's advice. You don't need to change their minds about how things are done. Just redefine it yourself, right? Keep building your school, keep building your community. Have people follow you, take that leadership role, and don't depend on them, because the minute you start depending on them and you start showing them that, hey, I can't do anything without you, well, you really are going to do nothing, So that's why I make content and I have the school.
We have
I'm
been
not waiting
doing
for anybody
this.
to tell me to do it.
We have been doing this way for 30 years. What do you know?
You're right. I don't know. That's my answer. I don't know. You're right. What do I know? I guess I don't know. So you get them to back off of you.
Let's see. You are a unique combination of a person that is still either being educated or you are doing the education because you are finishing your PhD. You do have your own community in surveying school, and if I understand right, you are still in the field. Like you didn't just give up on.
No, I just took a new job actually. So as of February, I signed on with WSP and I am one of their Geomatics project managers. And I mean, it's a fancy title, cool position. I was in the field yesterday, doing a topographic survey and a utility survey.
What's the
And
company about?
so,
What's the company about? Just give me the brief.
yeah, so WSP is a worldwide construction engineering consulting company. And so they take on they take on larger projects. DOT projects mainly is what we focus on. And the idea is that they have a big network of sub consultants that they work with, but we also do have surveying in house, and they just work on general survey projects, mobile mapping, aerial mapping, cadastral surveys. And so for me, I've worked in small companies. I've worked on my own. I've done consulting on my own. I've worked with my dad, but I've never done like large multi-million dollar projects. And so this was a unique opportunity for me to get into that world and to learn more about it, but at the same time, use my skills and use my knowledge to help them grow their internal teams. So where I live in America, in the Midwest region, we don't have anybody, right? So when I was talking to the VP in the Midwest region, he was telling me, he goes, we need to build a survey group. And so consider this an opportunity for you to build a team to help support the work that we get, because right now we're just subbing it all out. If we could work together internally with the existing surveyors that live in other parts of the country, we can actually build our own team here and continue to support the engineers and the other professionals that are in the company. It's an 88,000 person company. I think 26,000 of them are in the US.
Mhm.
So there's definitely a lot of surveying and geomatic work that gets subbed out that they would rather build a team internally to work with. So for me, it's like project management, team building, large scale operations. Like there's a lot there for me to learn and to be a part of that I just couldn't do on my own. And that was where I was like, I am still in the learning phase. I'm still got more to figure out. And sure, I know a lot. I'm not going to deny that. I know a lot, but I don't know everything. And I want to learn more so that when I go to teach, I am more effective, right? I can actually speak to real experience and not just what someone told me. So that's mainly it. I mean, that's why I did it.
You are in our industry. You're huge on social media. So is there a part of this deal like being also their like brand ambassador or some kind of a?
Nothing formally. I mean, I probably will always speak highly of them because they were the ones that gave me an opportunity to grow, to take a chance on someone, especially someone like me, where I could be quite volatile considering how many people talk to me. You've got to have a lot of trust in the person. So I think they trust me and I trust them that we're going to have a healthy and strong relationship. But no formal social media arrangement has been made. I think they mainly hired me for my skills and my knowledge in surveying and geomatics. But yeah, I mean, I'm very, very open with them. They're very supportive of the survey school and of my YouTube channel. They told me, please continue to grow your personal brand. Your personal brand is a direct reflection of the type of quality that we hire at WSP. So I really appreciated that support. And, so far, I mean, I've been in the company for just under 2 months, but it's been good. It's been very good.
And how is your PhD going? Like I want to put down in my calendar the date since
I will
start calling you doctor.
Well, don't call me doctor. I don't want that. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm nearing the end of it. For those that don't know, I started my PhD in 2019, like before COVID. And I've done a lot of things since I started my PhD, including start the YouTube channel, get married, have a kid, buy a house. Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot and I've worked in multiple companies. In there, I even worked at General Motors for a while. So I've made small but steady progress. I'm hoping by the end of this year I will be done. That is my goal for this year, to defend by December. So if it's not December, then hopefully it'll be May. But yeah, it's just a matter of defending and moving on with my life.
Since you already have done the shameless plug, I will do it also. because on 5th and 6th May of this year, we are doing a 3 days conference in Prague. Rami was a part of it last year. Hopefully, he will make it this year as well.
Planning on it, yeah.
I will ask you to give some feedback on it because of course I'm a co-founder of the conference, so I will not speak bad about it. I honestly think that it was a great experience for not only the partner companies but also for the audience and speakers. This year it will be focused more on 3D Gaussian splatting, since we all know and it's everywhere. All the big guys are jumping into 3D Gaussian splatting, so it will be a big part of this conference. I will just ask you, Rami, to tell a few words. How was your experience last year there?
Yeah, absolutely. So last year, I mean, look, it was, and I'm not saying this just to say it, it was, I think, one, if not the only conference where I actually sat through all the sessions. And the quality of people that were there, it made me interested in wanting to hear more, learn more, understand more. Folks that genuinely loved what they were doing. I mean, that was the biggest takeaway that I got from 3Dice. Not to bash any other conference, but just like sometimes you can tell when a speaker is there because they have to be there, like their company sent them, and they just, I don't know, they're just, let me get through this and then go enjoy the city that I'm in, right? And so you could tell the quality is just not there, and you just can't enjoy it as much. I didn't get that at all at 3Dice. It was a very genuine, exciting, just everyone was very, very in tune with it. It was a very modern take as well. I mean, I felt like I was in a modern conference. It was definitely filled with folks that are very forward thinking, and I enjoyed having the conversation, especially with the European crowd, because I'm coming from the US. So most of the conferences I attend are here, and so I only talk to the US market. But to see the European market, the Middle Eastern market, folks that are coming from other parts of the world, and kind of how this industry is impacting them, that is seriously like very difficult to find in today's world, especially online. So having an opportunity to connect with everyone in a very beautiful city, might I add. My wife was with me last year, and so she was like walking around during the day, and she's like, "Oh my God, you have to go here. We have to go here. You have to check out this place and that place." So the city is also very, very beautiful. Love the strategic location. I would definitely recommend anybody, especially if you are in the surveying industry and you want to understand more of the new technology. Gaussian splatting is a huge part of that. I know Pix4D just recently rolled out Gaussian splatting on their cloud software. But yeah, definitely consider going. I'll be there. Lots of great names will be there. And I think we're going to have a great time and a very productive time in Prague.
That's true. Like we paid attention to bring speakers that one give a huge value. So we focus on bringing either founders of service providing companies or C-level managers from the software or hardware producers. It's not always possible, but as you mentioned earlier, you can feel it when there is somebody that is just because he has to be there.
Yeah.
And this was not the case.
No.
Right. So almost everybody that was there because they wanted to, and they were enjoying the networking sessions and just getting all the information and trying to pick up as much brain as possible from everybody else.
You know, the thing that I really liked is actually learning what everyone's doing, right? And trying to understand the nuance of their work and trying to figure out, okay, how did they do it and why did they do it, and the adventure and the journey that they had to go through, and the softwares that they use and the hardware that they used, all the little detail and nuance. Like, you just can't get that with a LinkedIn post. You can only get that when you sit there and listen to someone tell a story, right? Hearing about Barry's projects and how he was able to, you know, basically recreate an entire museum virtually. Seeing, you know, Ted work on bridges and reconstructing these bridges, you know, again, just like incredible. It's genuinely
Pete Kelsey with the Alcatraz.
With Alcatraz, yeah. Again, it's just great stories and great way to fit everything in and just see how this industry is impacting the world. You know, that's what I said. Every session, I sat through every session, and it was incredible. I loved it.
Perfect. Just last thing, if you guys planning on coming to Prague, only few last days for getting tickets at the early bird stage. So make sure to go and grab yours, and we can continue with our discussion.
Let me
I
take
would
this
love
opportunity
you.
to 1 second. Let me take this opportunity to hi everyone. Refocus my camera here. I'm not in my so I'm not in my studio. I'm in my mother-in-law's house because I'm driving back from Minneapolis to Detroit, and it's just a very, very long drive. It's like a 12-hour drive. So I was like, let's do a pit stop here. My wife was like, hell yeah, let's do a pit stop. So we're here relaxing in my in-laws house. And I told Mike, I was like, I am not going to reschedule this. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to bring all my gear with me and set it up and make it work. Because I'm always on the road. I'm always working. So,
This is love, guys. So that you know, this is love.
yes, yes, this is true love. The things I would do for you, Michael.
Thank you so much. Rami, can you just briefly walk us through the difference between surveying and geomatics?
Yes, absolutely. So the term geomatics came to exist when we started to see a more geodesy being introduced into surveying, right? So traditional land surveying, it relied heavily on, at least in the US, on the public land survey system, measurements of angles and distances, really nothing outside of just typical ground measurements. And so we used it to do boundary surveys. We used it to do, topographic surveys on local coordinate systems. And sure, we would have like benchmark references to some geodetic or geometric shape of the earth, right? But nothing crazy, right? No crazy geodesy being introduced. It wasn't until about the 80s when NAD 83 came out in the US. And this is the first time we had an Earth-centric actual coordinate-based system. And this system now introduced us to geodesy and brought that world into surveying. This is also around the time that geodetic positions from satellites became very prevalent. We started utilizing satellites. Satellite accuracy was with corrections, obviously, was within a couple of centimeters. So this is starting to really tie into more geospatial work. And so the term geomatics started to exist as a more advanced version of surveying. It wasn't all just angles and distances anymore. We were using trilateration. We were using these very unique sensors. Remote sensing in general was starting to be embedded more into survey workflows. And so that's when the term started to be used. It's been heavily used since, like drones and laser scanners now have become more embedded in our workflows. And so can you go back and forth between the two? Sure. I like the term surveying because it's more of our actual roots. That's what we are. We are surveyors. We are expert mappers. But the term geomatics is still a nicer, more modern term. A lot of companies like to use it to show that they're not just doing typical land surveying, that they're actually embedding the new technology as well.
Mm-hmm. Could we say that the surveying is like a subset of the geomatics? Do you think that the geomatics is the bigger term?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say surveying is the bigger term, and geomatics is a more dialed in and modern version of it. I even saying subset isn't correct either, because to say I am a geomatics expert makes me think that you understand land surveying. But to say I'm a land surveying expert, I won't dismiss the fact that you may know what a GPS or GNSS observation is. So it's hard to explain. I haven't put too much thought into it, but just from the understanding that I have is that geomatics is just more advanced version of land surveying, and land surveying in and of itself has evolved too. So yeah,
I didn't want to put you on the spot.
No, you're good. It's actually nice to think about because I never really thought about it.
But the idea behind this is that I've been consulting some companies about their marketing and so on, and I always see that they are trying to come up with new namings for things that are just this way. They are always trying to come up with new names and with new like definitions of what they do, just to sound very clever and very modern and everything else, right? And I have this feeling also with this, like for tens of years, people know what to expect when somebody says that, yeah, I'm a surveyor.
Yeah.
But if I say that I am geomatic, I'm like, what the are you?
It's
I
in
have
many
no
ways
idea.
it is a marketing term. I am willing to put I'm willing to put surveying and geomatics in the same category because I actually understand the marketing fluff of geomatics. But I am also a progressive thinker, right? I think of GNSS observations as surveying, right? Whereas there may be surveyors out there that say, no, land surveying is traditional boundary with total stations, and this GPS stuff is not land surveying. So it is coming down to perspective. And I think from a marketing standpoint for any company, using the term geomatics solidifies the idea that we use modern technology. That's
Mhm.
probably more of what it is. If you ask me though, hey, if someone tells me I'm a surveyor, I'm going to assume they know modern technology, right? I'm not going to be like, oh, you're a surveyor, but you don't know what GPS is, unless they're like 70 years old and they're like semi-retired. Then I might
Mhm.
be like, okay, do you know what GPS is? Because you probably never really used it in your career.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it all comes down to who is the person that I'm talking to, like age wise and just like exposure wise. And then me, myself, my personal opinion and understanding of surveying as a profession. So geomatics, I guess, is like a safer term that you can use that guarantees that, oh, yeah, we're using modern technology as well.
Mhm. I will be just guessing here because I don't remember us having this discussion yet. But I
Mhm.
think that the reason for starting doing or creating a content on you basically on YouTube, primarily me on LinkedIn, I think we had very similar reasons, like the love of new technology, just
Mhm.
exploring new softwares and hardwares. Uh, w- am I right here? Like was this the case also for you? Why you started to create videos and do a content?
Not quite. It evolved into that, but I started making content in 2020 when I had gotten a job as a teaching assistant at Ohio State. So I applied for this job as a teaching assistant to teach the field labs for Introduction to Surveying. And this was in 2019. I got the job, all good. And the next thing we know, COVID hit. And so I was planning to start. So I started Ohio State in 2019, applied for the job in early 2020 for the fall semester of 2020. So everyone understands the timeline. And then COVID hit in March of 2020. So during that time between March and September when I started teaching, they were closing down campuses, they were like making everyone go online. And so I was being told that, like, hey, this field lab, either you're going to have to teach it online, um, or if you're going to teach on campus, you're not allowed to go into the classrooms. Like, you have to just meet outside and start the lab. And so I was like, I really want to do this in person because it's really hard to teach a lab with equipment unless they're actually touching the equipment. And so I said, okay, how about this? What if I were to do like a video, and you would watch the video as a pre-lab before you would come out as a student to the lab? And so I started creating these videos for my students at Ohio State for them to prepare for the lab for that week. So I'd send the video out, be like, hey guys, watch this video over the weekend. And then Tuesday when we meet, be prepared to start right away. And the idea was like, I'm going to make these videos not necessarily just for my students, but in general. Like, I'll make them so that anybody can watch them. Anybody can understand what pacing is. Anybody can understand what a level loop is, what traversing is. And the videos obviously did really well. They everybody started using them because there was a time when like COVID affected the whole world. So everyone was facing the same issue that I was. So all these surveying professors, or worse, professors that were teaching surveying but had no experience in surveying, which is very, very common issue that we face in our industry. Um, they were using my videos as reference, and that's what sparked the initial growth. But then I was like, okay, well, maybe I can talk about my research. Maybe I can talk about things that I'm doing with my PhD at Ohio State. So I started making videos about the iPhone. And I was like, I want to look into the iPhone's LiDAR sensor, right? This thing. Let me see what kind of content we can make from that. And those videos just exploded. I mean, they got hundreds of thousands of views, tens of thousands of subscribers. I mean, that's really what launched my YouTube page. And it's just been growth ever since. I got into drones, I got into, using new total stations, new GPS receivers, scanners, all these different tools now. And so the channel has grown into like a accuracy assessment or accuracy review of new technology or implementation of new technology. with the focus on survey accuracy. Like that has been my premise from the beginning. And yeah, I mean, I love it. And now I get to work with a lot of great companies. I get to try their new products. I definitely want to get back into making more educational content. I think that's something we're going to do this summer, is make more videos about traditional surveying and how you do traditional surveying. But at the same time, I mean, that is really what gave me the insight of, wow, like I really want to learn more about this industry. And I think, although I've been in my PhD forever, I think I owe it to the YouTube channel and the YouTube community that I'm still working on my PhD, because there's a purpose behind it now. Like I started that thing not really knowing why I wanted to do a PhD, but I found the purpose in the middle of it thanks to the YouTube community. So yeah, it's been a blessing. What can I say?
How do you see you are testing all the new technologies?
Yeah.
Lastly, I have seen you've been testing the T20 from Leica, the new total station, and you have been doing videos about the iPhone. So it's clear that the trend is to create as dumb technology as possible, just to democratize the industry, so that basically everybody can do it, right? And I remember even some companies having that as a claim, like everybody can scan now. What do you think about it?
I think anybody can scan, anybody can fly a drone, and anybody can run a GPS, and anybody can run a total station. It's, do you know what you're doing? Do you understand the different settings? Do you know the difference between good data and bad data? This goes back to the beginning of our conversation of, what differentiates someone from an AI that can do their job? And the true answer is, do you know what you're doing? And do you understand the fundamentals behind the equipment? So sure, I can pick up my iPhone and start scanning, right? And I can get an accuracy with absolute accuracy within 5 meters, let's say. But then they're like, hey, buy this attachment and hook it up here, and you can have GPS on your phone. And now your accuracy is within centimeters. Okay, I buy the attachment, I connect it, it works. Do you understand entropy corrections? Do you understand where do you create the account? Do you know the difference?
Do I need that? Do I need that?
Do you need it? Yeah, that's an even better question. Do you need it for your work? Like, those types of nuanced questions, not anybody knows the answers to. You have to start doing research. You have to start educating yourself. And then, okay, you collect the data and it's got RTK corrections. That's great. What are you going to do with that data? You've got a giant point cloud with millions of points. Do you know what to vectorize? Do you know what your client is looking for? Is this for design? Is this just for modeling? All of these small little things that, unless you have a community of professionals that you can go back to and talk to and better understand what kind of product you have in your hand. Okay, you scanned it. Congratulations. Now what? You got to make money with it, right? And so if you don't know how to do that, it's a useless point cloud, right? That's what I always say. Point clouds are useless unless you know what to do with them. And
but we already mentioned that the traditional surveying is far from using point clouds. So if we are speaking about the generation like 50 plus, like the majority of them would be lost also with the point clouds, even though they have 5 years degree with the surveying. Or
you can go to a old school surveyor and tell them, hey, I did your topo that you asked me for. Here's the LAS file.
Yeah.
And they're not even know how to open it, right? They're gonna be like, how do I bring this into Civil 3D? You can't even do it anymore. You used to be able to, but they took that feature out.
There are multiple stories of people coming to me and saying that, hey, we just were speaking to a surveyor and we showed them a drone data and laser scanning data, and they were like, oh, we don't trust those. Like, what?
and I don't blame them.
So now tomorrow you won't trust the calculator, or like?
Well, here's the thing. Like, I can go to a server and be like, here's your point cloud, right? And he's gonna be like, I don't trust that. Why? Why does he not trust it, right? Number one, he is used to setting up a benchmark and setting up a control network and working off of a local coordinate system for his topo survey. All right. I just handed him something in state plane coordinates, which, what does that mean for him, right? The other thing is, when they get that data and it's just a bunch of points and they're looking at it like, okay, that looks nice. What's your basis of bearings? And you're like, what? They're like, yeah, what's your basis of bearings? What are you referencing this to? And you say, oh, it's state plane coordinates. And they're like, but there was a boundary survey that was done, and here's the plat from 1932. Why aren't you referencing that? because in their mind, that's the way legally it's supposed to be done. Now, someone that understands and knows what they're doing, they're going to say, oh, no problem. We can translate this data to your plat and make it the basis of bearings. No problem there. So I don't need to wait for that client to tell me that, right? I should just do it. Nowadays, when I do a topo with a point cloud, I'm gonna put you guys onto something good here, right? So maybe you guys can take this and run with it. Take your point cloud, right? Vectorize it. Figure out where your buildings are, where your roadways are, curb, gutter, center line, sidewalks, your different features, utilities. Get all that stuff mapped out, right? There's lots of software that can do it. Pix4D can do it for you. I Pix4D, great friends. Don't mind shouting them out. And I trust their product. They have a great product. So Pix4D Matic can do it for you. Okay, cool. You've got all that vector data. Create your digital elevation model, create your TIN, get your grid points in there, export all that out, bring it into Civil 3D. This is the software your clients are using. This is what surveyors are using. Translate and move everything to their local coordinates. What's their local coordinates? Doesn't matter. X and Y and Z, doesn't matter. It's the basis of bearings of the original plat. So if you are using, if you have a lot in a subdivision or lots in a subdivision, use the bearings on that plat. If it's a meets and bounds, okay, what is the bearing and distance of the section line that is being referenced to their actual survey? Use that. Rotate your job to that. They don't care about the coordinates themselves. I start at 5,000, 10,000 local coordinates. Nobody cares. They care about the rotation and the basis of bearings. They want to make sure that their local north is oriented correctly, because they're going to drop their boundary into that. And when they drop their boundary into that, it better fit. Now, your coordinates might be off. That's fine. You can always move it. The rotation is the most important, right? Very important. Get that vectorized data to them. Get it in their layers, get all of the things that they would get out of their total station or their GPS as a raw data file, because that's what they're used to seeing. If you give them what they see in their raw data file and you say, here you go, here's your deliverable, guess what? You just made it very easy, very seamless. They may not even realize that this data is coming from a point cloud. And so they're not going to ask you, well, I don't trust this data. How do I know it's correct? Because you've given them something they're familiar with seeing. And when they bring in the data that they have and it fits into what they see, that's how they will know that your data is correct. That is how we run our QA/QC. Of course, there's more nuance to that, but generally speaking, we want your data to match what we have. And if your data matches what we have, we trust the entire point cloud without even seeing it. So
that's a great point. This is something I'm explaining to even my clients, but also other companies. Like, don't try to teach or force something new on your clients. Never.
Yes. 100%.
Just match their expectations, match what they are already working with, and you will be fine. It doesn't really matter whether you use a rocket science or the newest technology. It does not matter to them. They want to have flawless experience with what you deliver to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is, like, you can always show off after the project's been delivered. Like, okay, you deliver the important stuff, right? Show off and give them a Gaussian splat of the data and be like, look at this, we can fly through your entire site, and show them that cool stuff. That might trigger them to be like, hey, let's do something like this, but in a different way. Or I love this. How can we get more of this? Right? Give them what they need, but then show off the cool accessories, I always say, in terms of the deliverables. Don't let that be the main thing, because they do need what they're used to, right? What they're familiar with. I think the new 3D modeling and the way you can fly through a site is really interesting and really nice. And they may find some value in that, but it may not be the primary deliverable that they're looking for.
Can we speak a bit about the reality capturing side of the let's call it geomatics, but we know that a part we are speaking basically about surveying, but on a higher level, let's call it, or higher density, because at the end it's the same, just a few millions more. So let's discuss the where is the critical line between when do you need surveying workflows with reality capturing, when you don't need, and what level of education you need for it. Because I'm always saying to these to people, even in my posts and everything else, like for you being a good in reality capturing, you don't need to be a surveyor, but you need to know which workflows from surveyors you need to use.
Correct. Yeah. I genuinely believe that if you are not getting involved with boundaries, with legal documentation, with construction design, you don't need a licensed surveyor, right? I'm speaking on behalf of the US, right? And many of the states here in the US. Of course, other countries may have different laws. But if you are not getting involved in this legal side of surveying, you don't need a license, right? I worked doing as a pilot, right? As a FAA Part 107 pilot without a survey license. I had a survey education, sure, but I didn't have a license yet for many years, right? And I made videos for many years without my license yet because I'm not doing anything legal bounding, right? What we always say, if it's not a legal survey or a certificate of survey, it's a sketch. You are making a sketch. And so if you're a reality capture expert, right, and you know how to scan data and create 3D models, that's all great. None of that really needs to be going through any kind of legal system. None of that needs to be going into any kind of design process. It's an FYI more than anything else. So if your client is like, hey, I'm doing some facility management and I need to do some asset inventory, can you do a scan of my 300,000 square foot facility? Sure. What do you need a licensed surveyor for? Anybody could do that, right? And they could do it. The client themselves can go buy a scanner, scan everything up, and if they have the knowledge of how to do asset management, then they're good, right? You don't need the highest level of accuracy. You're not trying to design anything. You're not trying to build anything. So they're fine. They're good.
Not every job is about millimeter accuracy.
Exactly. Yeah. You have different accuracy standards for different types of deliverables. But if you have a client that's like, hey, I want to build an addition on my house. Okay, an addition requires them to get approvals and permits from the city. The city is going to require a professional surveyor to sign off on a certified boundary survey. Now we're getting into more legal work. Now you need a surveyor. Or you're purchasing a commercial building and the title company is looking for an Alta survey. Alta survey requires a professional to sign off on it because it's tied with the title company. Now, okay, now you can't get involved.
Okay.
Now let me take a step back from that. That doesn't mean you can't get involved with the project. It just means that you need to have a professional surveyor involved in the project. You can still go out there and you can still collect the data. You're working under a professional, right? So consider yourself an employee or a subcontractor to that professional, but you'd have to have a professional involved.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's correct. I'm wondering right now from the point of view of laser scanning company, because from traditional surveys, you can always hear like, oh, the control is the most important thing. You need to use tons of targets. You need to control your data, use total stations and everything else. And I get the point, but the experience from the field is that today's technology is so freakishly accurate with registration that at the end we are using targets only for georeferencing. Like I really have done okay, we are not speaking about like a high complexity of oil and gas industry and whatever, where it's basically impossible to register on scan to scan because you have so many different variables there. But for typical like buildings and constructions, I have this experience that I hired a surveying company. They did, I'm not sure about the name in English right now, but it was a polygon, enclosed polygon of measurements with the total station. Mm-hmm. And they set up the targets for me. So we scanned the whole site, and they came afterwards and said, okay, Michael, here you go. Now the error of these measurements is 2 centimeters. Like what's the term for the
RMS?
Yeah.
It means square.
Yeah, it's 2 centimeters, and I was like, okay, guys, but my scanner did the error of like 3 millimeters. So what do I do with your 2 centimeters?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Because there's a good understanding. There needs to be a good understanding between relative and absolute accuracy, right? So like you had mentioned, are we just using these control points to georeference to get good absolute accuracy? Look, at the end of the day, how good of a technician are you? How good of an operator are you? If you know exactly what you're doing and you follow the protocol and the procedures of your equipment just like it was designed to, you could hit 3 millimeter accuracy. That's very, very possible. When you start to measure
relative, we're now speaking about relative accuracy.
Relative accuracy. Thank you for clarifying. This relative accuracy. If I can take a measurement from one end of the site to the other end from different scans that were registered together, and then I can take my total station and shoot one end, turn an angle, shoot the other one, and get within 3 millimeters of accuracy, then I have followed the protocol and the procedures to a T. I'm willing to bet most people have not. I'm willing to bet that there are a lot of folks out there that just, for reasons out of their own control, had some level of error come up. And this is the big distinction here, is that error exists not because someone did something wrong, but because of variables outside of their control. If they're working outside, there could be wind involved. If they're working inside, there could be just vibrations from the machines that are around them. There are a lot of sources of error that can cost that accuracy to go down. And that's not the fault of a operator. And so what we do with control is we help minimize that error, right? We help minimize it and adjust it to get it to a point where, okay, even though we follow the protocol and it's decent, right? It gets us to where we need to be. This control is here to tighten things up, to just make it perfect. And if it's already perfect, if let's say you are Michal Gula and you are the perfect scanning expert and you don't make errors or mistakes, then it becomes a checkpoint. It becomes a way to validate your data and to ensure the accuracy of your data. ASPRS, the American Society for photogrammetry and remote sensing. I always mix the two. Is it photogrammetry first or is it remote sensing first? They came out with their new standards. And guess what? They loosened their accuracy requirements. They loosened it because these sensors are getting so good. These sensors are getting really, really accurate, relatively speaking, that they are reducing the need for an intense check process to ensure that the data is meeting ASPRS standards. So that is pointing in the direction of, hey, innovation is really good. Technology is really good. We don't need as much control to check our work. We're always going to need control to check our work. We just don't need as much. And that's just a testament to how good it's getting. But I will always say it's good to have an excess of check, an excess of control, because you are human and you will make mistakes. And hopefully your mistakes will not destroy your data sets, but there's always going to be error no matter what, no matter who you are. There's going to be error, and you want to be able to adjust that error out.
Mm-hmm. There is always just the question, like at the end, whether I let the registration software to adjust to those targets at the point cloud, or whether I just use it to rotate it correctly and georeference it according to targets. Because if I have if my software and the visual check is saying that my relative accuracy is, let's say, 5 millimeters, okay, not 3, let's call it 5. Mm-hmm. Then I apply the control and see that my targets are off like 1 or 2 centimeters. It's still perfectly fine. I don't need my software to fuck up my registration just because of 2 centimeters, because
it goes back to what is your deliverable for, right?
Yeah. I'm speaking about S-builds, for example, right now. Yeah.
Do you care about absolute accuracy? Mm-hmm. Do you care more about the relative accuracy of everything fitting in correctly, of everything being where it needs to be? Because
I'm in a competition with classical GNSS, right? Mm-hmm. And if they get into more difficult conditions regarding the signal of satellites and everything else, they still will get worse.
No, let's not get this twisted. When it comes to relative accuracy of reality capture equipment, there's no dependency on any satellites. There's no dependency on any of that, and that is within a few centimeters. So if I take a couple shots of GNSS right outside, and then I try to fit that into my model, which has millimeter level accuracy, relatively speaking, why would I introduce something that has less quality to something that is more accuracy? Unless I need that absolute accuracy. I need to reference it to a coordinate system. In which case, you get to your dilemma of, do I try to fit all of the control, or do I pick one point and just rotate and translate everything to that one point? And that comes back down to, what is your deliverable, right? What are you trying to achieve? If over a long period of time, the problem with total stations and terrestrial scanners is that they compound their error, right? The more you use it, the more setups you have, the more error compounds. Um, whereas total stations, whereas GNSS receivers, each observation is independent of the previous one. You could use it all day, the accuracy is going to stay the same, versus something that you're going to be depending on multiple setups with, which will continue to compound and increase the error. So what is your deliverable, right? If your deliverable is, I need something to fit into a larger data set that has already 2 to 3 centimeters of error, then yeah, you do want to fit your data set to your control as best as possible, because you're trying to fit this into a greater model. But if you are, hey, I need this to be within a few millimeters, I don't really care if I am shifted in terms of coordinate system, then no, just pick one point so that you're close to where you need to be and call it a local coordinate system. That would be the perspective I would take, as a professional. It all depends on what my deliverable needs to be.
I think this is quite clear in terms of terrestrial laser scanning, but let's move it to SLAMs, because since we are speaking about the accuracy, and we can see tons of new companies coming with the SLAMs, all are using basically one of 3 top producers of the LiDAR technology. So they even look like the one product. So the real difference is only in algorithm and UX UI experience with the software and with the support and everything else. But what's your opinion about the SLAM? Do you think that it is going to take a bigger portion of the market of reality capturing, or do you think that TLS will still dominate it?
TLS will still dominate. I think SLAM has its place, right? There are a lot of applications where it doesn't make sense to have terrestrial scanners set up. It's just a slower workflow. And it would just make more sense to be able to use the tools of something handheld with an IMU and good estimation of trajectory. But the problem I find with SLAM, and what continues to happen, is the algorithms that are used are not as reliable as a traditional setup with more stability. You're basically introducing new sensors into the equation. And while IMUs have gotten really, really good, and they're really good at calculating our trajectory, it is a relatively compounding error. The more you use it, the longer you go, the more error will accumulate. If your goal is to just map out the corridors of a tunnel or an underground passage or something, and you don't really care about the accuracy of where it fits in the real world, then fine. It's probably okay. What I would recommend at that point is do some scanning up top where you have RTK, because a lot of these handheld SLAM systems, they use GPS now. Get some RTK positions up top at the beginning and end of your site. Go down underground, use your SLAM, use your trajectory estimation, get to the top. Usually now what's happening is they're finding the points when you go back up to the top and then matching it and then adjusting everything so that it fits what was measured when RTK was existing. It's probably enough for what you're doing. But if you're like, no, I need to accurately map down there and I need to be able to use it as a survey-based data set, then you got to run a total station down there, establish relative control, and then set up your terrestrial scanner and hit every single one of those targets.
We both are heavily on the marketing side of the things as well. Mm-hmm. And what I don't really like is that all the SLAM companies are trying to compare themselves to TLS in terms of the speed. Okay, they will say, oh, we are accurate enough, but we are much faster than TLS. What I can see is a big risk. I just had the client that they decided to create their own team within their company because they have multiple sites and they want to scan it on their own. And they were already like just before signing contract to buy a SLAM technology for this. They have zero experience with scanning. And I said, those guys, don't do this. Like, don't do this. You are new in this field. You have zero experience with scanning. Just buy an entry-level TLS.
Yeah,
do it
I
this
agree.
way, because I can always help you with the TLS remotely. Okay, because I can see your registration. I can tell you go to this place and do another scan. But helping you remotely with the SLAM, oh, that's gonna be terrible.
No, it's a different technology. There's a lot more sensors, there's a lot more variables in play. And if you're a beginner and you're just getting into this, I mean, sure, the marketing for SLAM sensors and the cost has just gone down dramatically. It can really attract someone to go that route. But like you just said, I mean, it gets you to a position where it's like, I can't help you because there's so many things that could go wrong. I'll give another analogy.
And it's a human factor. It's a human factor.
Yeah, of course.
It's really bad.
That's
You have to be very
our
careful
first assumption. Our first assumption is that you're doing something wrong because you don't know what you're doing still.
Yeah.
But I'll give an analogy. So I'll use IMLIT as an example. IMLIT has multiple GNSS receivers, right? And so they came out with the IMLIT RX, and now they have the RX2. The IMLIT RX is a network RTK GNSS receiver. That's it. It connects through NTRIP. It gives you corrections over the internet, and it does nothing else. It is not a base station. It does not log its positions. It is not going to connect through a base rover network or base rover connection. It is just network RTK through NTRIP. That's it. Why? Why would I buy that when I can spend $1,000 more and get the RS3, which has tilt compensation? It's got base rover capabilities. It logs my data. I can do PPK with it. The reality is some people need to just start with a very simple tool that it has limited functionality so they don't mess up their data, so that there's less reasons to mess up. And so when I go to troubleshoot with them and I say, okay, what did you do? And they said, well, I have the RX. I immediately can eliminate 50% of the problems that could exist because I know this device doesn't have the capability to do any of these other things. So troubleshooting becomes a lot easier. It helps me train new people a lot more easily. And then once they're more comfortable and understand the technology and understand what is happening behind the scenes, that's when they can upgrade to something a little bit more advanced and use some new functions. But if they don't understand the fundamentals, the very basics of network RTK, it doesn't make any sense to go for the flagship device, you know.
And this is very important. Like I don't want to say that SLAM technology is bad or not good for users.
It has its place.
It's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, it has its place.
I'm saying that you really need to know what you are doing. It needs much more training and understanding of the workflow compared to TLS. I can teach a monkey to TLS a building in 20 minutes. But you cannot teach somebody to use SLAM on a 30,000 square meters industrial plant.
No, it's, and that comes down to educating our audience, right? We make our videos and we make this promotional content because we are trying to educate everyone and help them understand what these tools are for, when they should be used, and when they shouldn't be used. And I think my accuracy videos can really highlight what your expectations are from a device. And I use sites that are relevant to that device, right? I don't use my iPhone to go map a 20,000 square foot facility, right? It's not the right place for it. But a small little building outside where I have good RTK connection and I'm close up to the building, yeah, sure, why not? That sounds like a good spot to do that type of work. So that's our job online here, is to educate everyone and help you better understand when you should use these tools, when they're good for you. And we don't work for any of these companies, right? We have the only affiliation we may have with them is they paid us to promote their product. That's it. But we don't get paid to falsely advertise their accuracy. We don't get paid to put down anybody. I refuse to do videos where I compare different sensors unless they're coming from the same company. My job is to help you understand the different types of sensors. I don't care which brand you buy. You know, they're all the same. So, yeah.
I want to touch also a bit of this influencing or brand ambassadorships. I always love our discussions about this. We have been together on several panels and some private discussions as well. And it's amazing. How do you see the market with influencers on social media regarding our field. I'm not speaking about cars and brass, but I'm really asking about the 3D industry, about reality capturing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it is really important that we uphold the the integrity and the reliability of products that are hitting the market, right? There are a lot of products that, hit our market and they want us to promote it for them. And I'm happy to try everything and I'm happy to give my opinion about most products. But the reality is we have influence. People watch us and people see what we have to say and they make major decisions in their business based off what we have to say. So it's really critical that we know what we're talking about, right? It's really critical that anyone that is in the influencer space has the proper knowledge and experience. And I'll go as far as saying education. It doesn't have to necessarily be traditional education, but the knowledge and experience and education to talk about this and to understand that your word has a lot of impact on a lot of people in the industry. So you and I, we've been doing this for years now. We have definitely seen our fair share of good products and bad products, and good workflows that help the industry and tried to promote that. But at the end of the day, I am promoting the surveying industry, right? I want people to get into surveying. I don't want to make a single dollar if it bothers so let me phrase that. I don't care about any money, right? I mind doing it for free, if it just means more people will enter the industry, right? And that's what I did in the beginning. I wasn't getting paid in the beginning. I was doing it for free because I was trying to help students understand surveying and I just wanted more people to enter the industry. So that is our primary objective here, is to get people into our industry, to get more folks, involved, because we need more people. Our industry suffers and it needs more young talent and more smart people to help innovate and to help grow and to help us continue the profession so that it's not a dying profession.
Have you seen recently some like new upcoming stars in terms of creating some nice content in our industry? Or
Upcoming stars, I've got one in mind, and he's been doing this for a minute, but I think he's brilliant. I think he is very smart, very knowledgeable. If anyone has found the third dimension, his name is, oh god, I can't remember his last name, but Shay.
yeah, I know who you mean.
Gosh,
Yeah.
what's his last name? No, I gotta get this right.
I forgot the last name as
What
well.
is Shay's last name? Somebody in the comments.
I'm in contact. Gleedley. Shay
Yes.
Gleedley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shay is incredible. Shay is very, very smart, very, very attentive to detail. I would even argue and say he is more attentive to detail than I am. I love watching his content. I love seeing him grow. He's approaching 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, so definitely go check him out. Very worth it.
I love his videos because he's putting there a lot of knowledge and they are very strongly focused on facts, workflows, and data sheets and just precisely technical, right?
He's very, very technical.
We both are more I don't want to say entertaining, but we try to implement the entertaining portion into our content. But Shay is very like strict and
he's a very straightforward guy, and he really knows his stuff. And not all of his content is super, super technical. He just put out a video showing you how to install a permanent control point using concrete and rebar. And he just like mixed a bunch of concrete and went outside and poured it into a form and let it harden, and so that he can establish his totals, a point to put his total station on. So I'm just like, what a brilliant video. Like, it's nothing mathematic. It's just like, how do you mix concrete and make a permanent monument, right? Yeah. So the guy is very experienced. He's very knowledgeable. So yeah, I mean, if someone is looking for someone new to watch, I would push them that way. The Third Dimension is a great platform, great content. You learn a lot about surveying there.
Have you noticed the guy from Norway, Lake Koopmans, on LinkedIn?
Norway?
He's doing great videos. It's really like TikTok style. Lay Koopmans. I can put it on.
Yeah, you'll have to send that to me.
I will put it here on the. Yeah, this is his name.
Lay. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Okay. Lei.
And he has really interesting videos. He's coming from the GIS background, but really cool. It's he's actually showing where this will go, like, because we are trying to do this educationally and to do this with the technical background, but he's trying to explain our stuff really in a TikTok way or YouTube Shorts way, and it's really cool with the great energy he's putting there.
Well, that's what you need. You're promoting this to younger folks, right? And so young kids are on TikTok, they're on Instagram, and they're like just scrolling mindlessly. And the minute they see something interesting, like I don't know why, I'm obsessed with these guys that 3D print board games and they turn them into books. And so it's gotten me like, wow, I want to kind of get back into 3D printing, and like, because this one guy's made a very interesting platform where he's 3D printing board games into books. And so for our profession, we need to do the same thing. We need to make short content that just is a gateway into our industry. Just showing a 3D model or showing someone using a total station while it moves around in or having a robotic dog walk around with a scanner on its head. Like these small little, like, I think they're kind of just novelties, but in many ways that could be enough to get someone a little bit interested to see more. And then they start to find your long form content.
Yeah. Here's a shout out also to Shay.
Yep.
So sorry you forgot your last name, Shay. No, but he's doing really great videos. So
yeah,
check him out.
Great. I love Shay. So no, yeah, we definitely. I mean, this is a very different industry. Like this whole marketing world, social media marketing. It's like understanding what gets people's attention and then finding a way to be entertaining but also educational. And then for us, it's like, you know, we do this, we make this content, we promote products. You know, at the end of the day, I also want to build a community, right? I want to make it where you can come and join a community of people that have an interest in this stuff, right? They're very interested in growing their businesses or just growing their skills. They talk to each other, they have a better understanding of surveying and geospatial technology, and how to implement reality capture into their work, because that's the future and that's where we're headed. You know, and not be alone in this little psyop, you know, by yourself. You know, you have people there that you can talk to and connect with, including myself.
Rami, we already showed that you are a good person, so we don't need to like make it even more obvious. But I really wanted to dig more into your influential side. So just give it to me straightforward. When was the first money you earned by doing a video or paid promotion for some company?
Yeah, so the first time I got monetized by YouTube was in April of 2020.
Not by YouTube.
Oh, okay. Then
by the company.
By a company, Imlid, right around the same time, actually. Imlid and I think had like 5,000 subscribers at the time. And so Imlid had been around for a couple of years, and I had been around for a year roughly. And so they are a young and very progressive company when it comes to the legacy brands, you know, of GNSS receivers. And their whole thing is, can we create a product that is easy to use, that your phone is the controller, that is inexpensive, that drone pilots, I think was their first main target, can use to establish high accuracy GPS control. And so I was making videos about surveying and getting into a little bit of drone mapping. And so we had decided, let's make a series of videos explaining what is GNSS, what RTK corrections are when it comes to a base and a rover, what network RTK corrections are, and then what is PPK. So those are the first 4 videos. We did a contract. They've paid me. It was, for me, it was like, oh my God, I'm getting paid to make videos. This is great. Yeah, it was the gateway into promotional content. But at the same time, I was always under the impression that like I need to make content that is educational, that is informative. So as you can see, like in all those videos, I didn't even mention a product, right? We weren't promoting any products yet. We were just promoting how do you actually do this stuff. And then, by the way, here's the product I'm using. They're paying for the video. Thank you for the sponsor. But you could watch that video and then go get a Leica or a Trimble unit and do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
The science is the same. It doesn't matter. It's just Imlid wanted to promote the profession, wanted to promote this information. through my YouTube channel, and
You could
because
have
everyone's
used
promoting it, they're
any
giving me the product.
you could have used any other producer, but since
Exactly.
this one was happy to promote and sponsor this episode, why not?
Exactly. I mean, I have a relationship with Leica, and I've done GNSS videos with Leica, right? It's not about the brand, it's about the technology. It's about what can we achieve now with new technology, and how is it done, and what's the science behind it. That's truly like what I go for.
Mhm.
But Imlet gave me that opportunity, and it was the first time I ever got paid to do this. And so the YouTube content will always be free for the viewers. And I think people understand that, like, I need to get paid to be able to maintain a schedule and to be consistent. So for them, they understand that and they're okay with it because the content is free for them and they can learn for free on YouTube.
What would you suggest to somebody that like is really heavily thinking about going into a content creation and hopefully one day get paid for it? What would you suggest them?
I would say if your intention is to get paid, you're going to be disappointed, right?
It's not what they want to hear.
I know it's not what you want to hear, but I give it to you straight. If you're going to do this because you want to help people. Do it because you want to educate people, because you want to make resources and you want to improve the industry, right? That's why you do it. You get paid if you can get enough views and get enough attention and help companies reach customers. That's when you get paid. And I don't get paid because, oh, I'm, flashy and I make cool content. I get paid because every time I put out a video, new customers go to those sponsors because they're looking for a solution. The sponsor is the solution, and I've just exposed the solution to them. And so I've connected customer to seller. And that's why I get paid. If you are hoping to make content and get paid and you have not really provided the ability to connect with people and to provide selling or sponsors with potential buyers, they won't work with you. So how do you get to that point? Well, you create value. You build trust with your audience and you build trust with the community. And so when you do that and you build that trust, now you've been making this content for free. No one's forcing you to do it. You're doing it because you genuinely want to help the industry. You will naturally start to grow on social media. You will naturally start to build a following. And that following then is going to be looking for solutions to their problems. And that's when you can plug in a sponsor that has those solutions, and you are getting paid by helping people connect with each other, and you help the industry grow. So
also the whole social media thing is changing heavily. What I mean by that, with Rami, we had to wait several years for first paid collaborations and doing tons of videos before we actually get paid for that. But this is changing. We had to wait because we had to prove to companies that we have enough followers, we have enough reach, performance of our posts, that it's really a value for them.
Yeah.
But social media is changing heavily. It's going from social to actually interest focused. So even if you have like 500 or 1,000 followers and you create a good content, valuable content, and people will like it, you can easily get 1,000, 2,000 likes on a video on LinkedIn or tens of thousands of views on YouTube very easily.
Yeah, the followers and the subscribers don't actually mean anything. I mean, sure, we have lots of followers and subscribers, but like if I make a really good piece of content, YouTube or LinkedIn or whoever you're on is going to push that to relevant people, and they will find you and be like, wow, this is really interesting. All the followers and subscribers are just people that will be notified when I put something new out. And believe me, if I put something that's like garbage and my subscribers see, they're like, I'm not really interested in that, they won't watch it. And so it's useless, right? Unless I'm putting out good content. So I, even at the stage of my social media journey, I still need to put good content out for my viewers to watch.
Because
YouTube and LinkedIn sees the same thing.
Followers and subscribers doesn't mean a shit right now. Like they are a proof, a social proof that we have done a hard work, right? But it's door opening definitely, but it's not something that will sell your service for companies.
There are lots of AI run accounts that have hundreds of thousands of followers, if not millions of followers, just because they were able to play the algorithm game and get a lot of followers. And the minute they stop posting and they start putting real videos out there, they get 0 views, right? They were built off of the wrong idea and the wrong type of following. So don't let the follower number scare you off. If you make good content and you can prove that you are consistent at making content, that is enough for your channel to grow. And brands will notice that. Brands will see that. I think, like you mentioned, Michael, we kind of went into this where we had to educate companies on like, hey, this is what social media marketing looks like. Today, I think a lot of those companies understand it a little bit better, and they have their own metrics that they use to measure the effectiveness and persuasion of an influencer. So the
Uh,
road, the convincing and educating part is not as much anymore as it used to be.
when we were starting getting paid for our content, it was the situation where companies had like zero experience with paying for influencers. Zero. They didn't know what to expect, what KPIs to look for, how much should they pay, uh, like any idea, right? From different other industries, everybody knew how to sell socks on Facebook or through influencers or whatever product, because B2C is very different compared to B2B.
B2B,
Okay,
yeah.
and we are in the B2B sector, especially with the high value YouTube content and LinkedIn posting. It's very different to business to customer. So we have to go through it the hard way from the beginning.
Absolutely. But like I said, if you're just getting into this, don't even think about this stuff. Think about just making
Yeah,
good content. Think
yeah.
about teaching people what you know, explaining things clearly. Don't gatekeep. You know, I put out all my knowledge, like all my knowledge that I know about this industry is out on YouTube. Many people have built companies from my YouTube videos just because they're like, wow, I've understood and learned everything I need to know. You know, great. I'm happy to help the industry for free. I'm not here to make money for education. And so let that be your mindset. If you really want to get into this, let it be where I'm just here to make good content because I genuinely want to help the industry, and the rest will fall together. You know, it'll all come
uh,
together.
yeah, I am doing also consultations about the LinkedIn as a side hustle, just because of the long term experience I have with that. And what I'm always trying to explain is that there is a huge difference between motivation and discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Motivation in this case is money. You want to get money. If you don't get money, then you need a discipline, because you will have to do the content even though you are not paid for it,
Correct.
even though you have a lot of bills to pay and everything else. But the consistency is the king on social media. So be prepared to create a content that you would create even for free. Don't think about the money.
Use me as an example. I have zero motivation to do this call because I'm traveling. I am not in my office. I have missed breakfast with my family. But still, I am here because consistent and discipline is the way I operate my business. If I said I'm going to be somewhere, I'm going to be there, regardless of how inconvenient it is for me. I will pack my camera. I will pack my microphone. I will sit in my brother-in-law's old bedroom, and I will make this happen because at the end of the day, I don't really care if the setting is pretty or if everything is ideal. No, you guys are here to hear information. You're here to talk to me. You're here to learn more about what we do, and that's what I'm here to do, right? Regardless of the setting that I'm in, I'd make it happen. So live that. Let this be an example of like the level of consistency that you should try to strive for. I don't mean to put myself on a pedestal, but just like I'm trying to give it a real world example, right? I'm trying to actually live what we preach here. I'm not just trying to preach it and then go do something else.
Yeah, yeah. Rami, it was amazing as always. Thank you
Oh,
so much.
thank you. I appreciate you having me, and I really hope that everyone got some value out of this. And yeah, we appreciate everyone that supports us online, and thank you guys for being a part of our industry.
Thank you for guys for all those comments. Thank you again, Rami. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.